Starting, all attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, very good evening. So this is rather a short session, not of 90 minutes but of 60 minutes of ratios. I will try to cover the bare basics of ratios and a little bit of shortcut also. Okay. Anurag asks, is this class for old students, Anurag, that you will have to decide, but I can just tell you the contents of the class and the nature of the class. The nature of the class is that it is an MDC. We are not going to discuss the cat level questions over here. We are going to cover MDC. You know, I hope everybody knows what MDC is. So every time I open a session and I am asked this question. So guys, and sometimes some people might get disappointed by looking at the contents of the class. So guys, you have to understand that whichever class is uh, tagged as MDC, it means Math Development Class. So this is MDC of ratios. Okay. So math development class. So often we have found that a lot of people who join coaching, we do not understand their expectation and they might have forgotten a lot of basics from their school and all. So they find a lot of difficulty, which teachers at times are not able to address. They have no idea that students are weak at that level also. So I realized this problem, and here we are trying to address that people have forgotten the bare basics. So let us prepare them for the regular classes. No, Aditya, this is not as important for anybody who has attended the previous MDC ratio class because it must have been taken by me only. So I will take the similar. Yes, Bhaskar, I feel MDC will help you, everybody, to solve LOD1 level questions. Yes. Yes, Vedansh, for you, this will be definitely helpful. Okay, so let me now get started. Anyway, this class is short. Let's not talk much. Let's study. So, starting with the basics of MDC, sorry, basics of ratio. So, I want to start with and listen very carefully. Although the session is being recorded, it will be uploaded very soon, like tomorrow or some place, some point of time tomorrow uh, at our channel. But before that, right now also, you should try and listen very carefully. The points which are extremely important, I will type them down. Okay, so I would like to start with a ratio. So I'm writing a ratio 3:5. It's the ratio of A and B. Okay, so whenever I'm taking a class, I start like this. So I write this ratio and I ask the students, like I'm asking right now also, but you guys have to type. Therefore, I'll give you the response that people give me when I ask them this question. So I ask the students in the class, um, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you see a ratio? Say A and B have money in the ratio 3:5. So what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you see this ratio? So people say that B is 5, A is 3, or A by B is 3/5, or A is 3 by 8 of B, A is 3 by 8 and B is 5 by 8, and these kind of responses I get from the people. Okay, so by basic I mean no, Bhaskar, that is not actually necessary. What do you say about this? 1 by 5 is to 1 by 3. This is also in the ratio 3 is to 5, right? Okay, what about 3 by 5 is to 1? That is also in the ratio 3 is to 5. 1 is to 5 by 3, that is also in the ratio 3 is to 5. So actually, none of these numbers is a multiple of 5. None of the left numbers is a multiple of 3. Okay, so it's not that the multiples of 3 and 5 are necessary. Okay, so it always depends on the language of the question, the requirement, the kind of question. Okay, so all right. So what I actually wanted to hear when I asked you that looking at a ratio 3 is to 5, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? So I wanted to hear that B is more than A. Right? So B is more than A. So in place of B, 5 is written, and in place of A, 3 is written. Yes, Nehal, we'll be discussing only the basics. Anyway, the class is short, so I don't think I will be able to advance from there. Okay, so if you have expectations that I'll be taking up some good, moderate, difficult level questions, then you might be disappointed. Anyway, so so guys, these classes we try to prepare you for sir's lessons. Okay, so he takes regular sessions, and every faculty, every teacher would want that the students who are studying from him or her, they are at the same page. They have at least the bare basics ready. They are ready to receive what is going to be told to them. So that is why we are preparing everybody who is lagging behind for those classes. So, okay, B is more than A. Okay, and so this much we are sure of, that B is more than A. What we are not sure of, that B is how much more than A. We know the answer, we know this is right, and we do not know the answer to this question. B is how much more than A? So is B 2 years older than A? Is B 20 liters more than A? Is B 10 kgs more than A? Is B 4 meters longer than A? What is it actually? So in the same language we can say B is more, but how much, that we do not know. Okay, so this is the basic. So there is only one rule in the ratio, and uh, directly or indirectly, that is the point of discussion in any ratio question. And that rule is that you multiply the entire ratio by the same thing. When I say multiply, I mean divide also. So like 3, 5, I divide them both by 15. So the ratio becomes 1 by 5 is to 1 by 3. 3, 5, if I divide them both by 5, I get the second ratio, 3 by 5 is to 1, and so on. If I multiply both by 2, we get 6, 10. If I multiply both by 3, we get 9, 15, and so on. So all these pairs are in the ratio 3:5. Okay, guys. So algebraically, we can say that if A B is 3:5, this implies that A is going to be 3x and B is going to be 5x. And that this x depends on the situation of in the question, given in the question. So this x could be anything, but it will be x for both the cases. Fine. All right. So let us understand rule number one. If the ratio of A and B is given as 3:5, this implies that A by B is 3 by 5. Okay, so when you write in the ratio format, that is good for seeing it, or you know the analysis. It's good for analysis, but it's there is nothing mathematically that you can process. You know, we have we know only one thing to process, and that is equation. And there is no equal to sign when you write A, B, and then 3:5. So that is why we convert a ratio information into an equation so that we can process. So now that A by B is written as 3 by 5, you can write 5A equal to 3B, etc., etc. Okay, so there is a nice question which I want to introduce at this point. So you just see. Yes, I hope everybody can see. So at a certain school, the ratio of number of second graders to number of fourth graders is 8:5. So trust me, whatever we have studied till now is more than sufficient to answer this question. I think you should give it a try, give it a minute, and then I'll solve it for you. Okay, guys. So all we had to do was to write the information in the form of ratio, or rather fraction, in fact. So in the first line, it's written the ratio of second graders to fourth graders. So I am translating this line to something like second grader. Let me represent it by Roman 2 and Roman 4, and this is given to me as 8 by 5. Okay, and then in the next line I'm given first grader to second grader. So Roman 1 upon Roman 2 is equal to 3 by 4, and last is given as ratio of third graders to fourth graders. Th Sorry, third to fourth. So this is given, and this is given, and this is 3 by 2. What are we asked? First grader to third. All we want is Roman 1 upon Roman 3. Okay, so let us see. We have this. So in this, Roman 1 is a numerator. Fine. So I'm gonna write this ratio as it is and multiply it by. So I do not want Roman 2 in the denominator. So then I'm going to write the second ratio in which, first ratio, sorry, in which Roman 2 is in the numerator. But इसके साथ भी problem है. This gives me 4 in the denominator. I do not want 4 in the denominator. But now I see that this one also has 4 in the denominator and 3 in the numerator. I want reverse. I want 4 in the numerator and 3 in the denominator. So what? I can write what I want. I can write 4 in the numerator and 3 in the denominator. So what? I will write the values accordingly. So I will get first over third, like 1 by 2, 3 by 4, 2 by 4 is 8 by 5, 4 by 3 is 2 by 3. So this will give you 1 over 3, and this will be cancelled. So that was the plan, that was the idea. Okay, so solving this, you get 4 by 5, and this is the answer, D option. Okay, guys. Okay, so less answers I received as per my expectation, but anyway, the question looks easy and is not that easy to just think like this, or maybe opposite. It does not look easy, but it was. I find it easy to do, because I know the trick. Okay, so this was our first rule, that never forget that a ratio can be written in the fraction format also. But this is true only for a ratio of two things, right? And that is why ratio is different from fraction. If every ratio could be written as fraction, what was the use of making a ratio? Why not fraction only? So we cannot make a fraction of 3 numbers, 4 numbers, 5 numbers, but we can compare 3, 4, 5, 7 numbers, writing them in a ratio. So when there is a ratio of 2, we can just write them as fraction also. Yes, Vedansh, it is absolutely right to reverse a ratio, but reverse its value also. Okay, great. Okay, rule number 2. Okay, before rule number 1, I had to tell you something, and that is what? That, like when you write 3 by 5, then 3 is called the numerator and 5 is called the denominator. Similarly, when you write this in the form of a ratio, then what was numerator for you is now called antecedent, and what made denominator for you is called consequent. All right, taking it to the next stream. Okay, so this is what this is doubling or halving a ratio. Okay, what do we mean by doubling a ratio? So let me type again. So double of 3:5 is, many people must be thinking 6:10, but it is 6:5, not 6:10. How do we understand this? So 3 by 5, when there is a fraction and you want to double a number, you multiply it by 2. So you multiply this also by 2. And when you multiply by 2, you mean by 2 by 1. So it becomes 6 by 5, not 6 by 10. Okay. Okay. So this is double of a ratio. Similarly, similarly, half of ratio 6 is to, excuse me, please. So half of, say 2 is to 3 is 2 is to 6 or 1 is to 3. Okay, so similarly, when you halve something, you divide it by 2. So you either double the denominator or half the numerator, any one thing. Okay, now there is a wonderful question which came some years ago on GMAT, and it is considered a great question. But right now we are not well equipped to deal with that question. So I am right now moving ahead. So uh, it was doubling and halving the ratio. Let me just highlight it. So doubling and halving a ratio. Okay, similarly, now next thing is equal ratio. And another thing that I want to discuss is equivalent ratio. A lot of people are not aware of this, guys. So equal ratio, what is equal ratio? People think that 3 by 5 and 6 by 10, since both these fractions are equal, so we call them equal ratio. But no, this is not true. Equal ratio means 1 is to 1. So a father distributed his entire wealth among his children in equal ratio. Means as many children, everybody got equal amount. And so if there are three children, it would be 1:1:1. If there were two children, it is 1:1, and so on. So equal ratio means everybody gets the same share. It's not if two fractions are equal, and that is why I wrote both of them together. So it is equivalent ratio. If 3/5 equal to 6/10, is equal to 9/15, then you can say that 3:5, 6:10, and 9:15 are equivalent ratios. Hi Sushrut, yeah, I think you have written this for the second time. So guys, I think the material given to you from the institute is sufficient and is larger than life. It's a lot of material, I believe. And still, if you think you can cover it all and you can then try from other books also, then there are plenty of books. I would suggest not to go for a book, but to try the real CAT, ZAT, NMAT, and IIFT questions. So, CAT we all know. The other exams that you can try questions of are IIFT, okay, NMAT, and ZAT for sure. ZAT questions are a little larger than life. They are a little difficult questions. Okay, so you can find most of these X papers on the internet. So वहाँ पर थोड़ा सा अपना सर्च का जादू दिखाइए और PDFs डाउनलोड करिए with answer keys. Also, I would, if you are asking me recommendation, I would suggest you that uh, for the last 3-4 years, NMAT is being conducted by GMAC. GMAC is the same council, the same body that owns GMAT exam. Okay, so GMAC has been conducting NMAT exam in India for the last 3-4 years, and like in GMAT, it also like in GMAT, it offers an official guide for NMAT in which there are practice questions. Okay, so well, the guide must be very costly, so it might burn your pocket. So you may want to find out some PDF of an old guide or something. So even an old guide would not be very old. It would be like 2-3 years older only. So everything is available on internet. So if you search, you can really find it. So practicing basic questions and all, it will give you a lot of strength and confidence also. So many people have, and this is unofficially I am saying that many people have told me that a lot of questions from the guide just are copied in the exam. So you would not want to miss the guide then. Okay. All right. So now the main agenda of ratio, and that is, so that is compounding of ratios. Okay. So this was 2. Now this is compounding of ratio is 3. Okay. So what is compounding of ratios? So suppose we are given two ratios. One is between A and B. Let it be 3:2. And one is between B and C. Let it be 3:5. So the ratio tells you Ratios tell you that sorry, yeah, I was saying that compounding of ratios tell us the two ratios in which there is one common connecting link. So like in the ratio A is to B, there is B, and in ratio B is to C also there is B. So you know what ratio tells you that whenever the first ratio tells you that whenever B is 2, A is 3. So when B is 20, it will be 30. If B is 4, A is 6, and so on. Hi Ritesh, no problem. Welcome to the session. So whenever B is 2, A is 3. And in the second ratio, it says whenever B is 3, C is 5. Okay. Now the thing is, if you are asked, कि भाई A by C बताओ जरा, what is the ratio of A's to C? So it is a very kiddish idea to say 3 is to 5, which is absolutely wrong. You know, there is absolutely no connection direct between A and C. You just cannot pick the numbers 3 and 5 and say that the ratio of A and C should be 3 is to 5. No. So the relation between these two ratios is B. Okay. But the problem is that B is different at both the places. So if I want to make this 3 and 2, and if I want to make this be 2, then there is a problem with C. Problem is that it will become a fraction, and you do not want to have a fraction. Okay, so this is not a great idea. Okay, if you make this 3, if you want to make this 3, then also it's not a good idea, because then A will become a fraction. So what should we do? We should look for a value of B such that it works fine at both the places. So 2 and 3, the number that comes to my mind is 6. Okay, so now let us see. In the first ratio, if B is 6, so if 2 represents 6, that is 3 times. So A should also be done 3 times. Okay, and in the second ratio, if B is 6, that means 3 represents 6, that is doubled. So C should also be doubled. I mean, 5 should also be doubled. So now you say that whenever B is 6, A is 9, B is 6, C is 10. So you see, now you can say the ratio between A and C is 9 is to 10. This is the most basic and self-explanatory logical method of doing this. So very, very easy concept and extremely important. However, there is one more way of looking at it. Remember the first rule that you can write a ratio as a fraction. So you knew A by B, which is 3 by 2, and you know B by C, which is 3 by 5. We all know that if we multiply A by B and B by C, we have to multiply 3 by 2 into 3 by 5, and hence we get 9 by 10. देखिए 9 by 10 ही तो था. So this is a wonderful method too. But the only thing is you will only get a ratio between two numbers. You will not get a compounded ratio of A, B, C, D, whatever. Okay. So for that, what will you have to do? So let me take another example. Now we are done with this one. So suppose the ratio between x and y is let us not take 3. Let us take 6 is to um, 5. Okay, and yz as 2 is to 5. Okay, so we know the answer, we can find out. So I am just trying to concentrate on this x by y into y by z equal to x by z method. So from here I get x by z is 12 by 25. which is absolutely right. But the problem is that I wanted the ratio of all the three, x, y, z. मेरे को तो अभी तक सिर्फ x z का रेशियो मिला है. So what do I do? No problem. दो का तो मिल गया ना. So let me write in place of x 12 and in place of z 25. And then let me just see कि अगर x 12 है, which is twice in the first ratio I'm seeing, so y should be 10. Okay, and this way I complete the ratio. सेकेंड वाला तो देखना भी नहीं पड़ा. अगर आप देखना चाहते हैं, so that will be like a check also. So if you write y 10, which is 5 times of 2, so 5 times of 5 भी करना पड़ेगा 25, which is already mentioned here. So 12, 10, 25. So even if you want to make this your basic method to multiply all the ratios and to find the ratio between the antecedent of the first and the consequent of the last, that also will work all the time. Sorry. Okay, so be ready for the question. I'm going to give you like in just a second. Okay, so not a word problem first a generic problem. So I'm writing two questions. Okay, uh, okay, so here it is. I am just making them separate. Okay, so second question is here. So let me number them 1 and 2. So try them please. Okay, so done both of them. Okay, only one person has done both the questions. Others I think are trying. Keep trying. Meanwhile, I'm explaining the first one. So, let us do this by the basic method only. So let me do the first one by the basic method and the second one by the fraction method. So A is to B is 2 is to 3, B is to C is 4 is to 5. Okay, so I'm going to take 12 for B because 12 is a number that works well at both the places. Okay, now inside I know that if B is 12, which is 4 times, A should also be 4 times of 2. And if in the second one, if B is 12, which is 3 times, then C should also be 3 times of 5. So 8, 12, 15 becomes the answer to the question. While the second one I would like to do by this method. I'm just copying the ratios A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, and these are 1, 3, 2, 5, 3, 1, 5, 3. Okay, so I know that when I write them in fraction format and I then multiply them all, so B and B will be cancelled, C and C will be cancelled, D and D will be cancelled. I'll be left with A by E. And similarly, if I multiply all these antecedents that are numerator, so I get 30 is to 45. Okay, so rather I should write 2 is to 3. So A by E is 2 by 3. Now, if I am to find the ratio of A, B, C, D, E. So below A I'm going to write 2 and below E I'm going to write 3. Okay, so ratio of A and B is 1 is to 3. If A is 2, B is 6, so B becomes 6. Fair enough. So now I have found B6. In the second ratio, if I put B6, this is 3 times. C becomes 15. Fine, so I'll write C 15. Hello guys, sorry for the interruption. I had got a call. Okay, so A is to E is 2 is to 3. So I started with 2 and I have reached till 15, C equal to 15. And I'm continuing with the ratio C is to D is given 3 is to 1. If I write in place of C 15, so it's 5 times of 3. Accordingly, it should be 5 times of 1 also, so 5. At the moment I write 5, the ratio gets complete. And how am I going to check if it is right? I'm yet to see D is to E, which is 5 is to 3, and this is 5 is to 3. Okay, guys. So this is a question on. So this was a direct question. Now I am going to type a question uh, which is a word problem and which requires compounding of ratios. Yeah, this is the question. Guys, I hope you are trying this. Pretty easy question it is. Two of you have answered and answered correctly. That's great. Okay, guys. Yes, a lot of you have answered and answered correctly. So let me quickly do it. So let the numbers be A, B, C, the first number, second number, and third number. So what is given to us is that the ratio between first and second is 2 is to 3, and second and third is 5 is to 8, while the sum of these three numbers is 98. Okay, so we are given the sum of three numbers, but we are not given exactly the ratio of three numbers. So what we are going to do is that we are going to merge these two ratios into one by the theory of compounding of ratios. So I'm going to write in place of B 15. So one thing is for sure, that my answer is going to be 15 or its multiple. So two options are gone, 20 and 48. It's going to be either 15 or 30. So if it is going to be 15, let us see. So if this is 15, 3 into 5, so 2 is also into 5, 10. And if the second number is 15, 3 times, 8 is also 3 times, made 3 times, so 24. So 10 is to 15 is to 24. So now the thing is, the sum of three numbers is given and the ratio of three numbers is also given. We have to find the second number. So B will be given as 15 upon 10 plus 15 plus 24 into 98, and from here I get B equal to 30. There is one small, very small thing that I want to say, that we could have avoided this step and could have directly marked the answer as 30, because if B were supposed to be 15, then A would have been 10 and C would have been 24 at the same time, and the sum of these three doesn't appear to be even close to 98, so there was no chance that 15 could be the answer. Therefore, by the process of elimination also, 30 could have been the answer. We could have spared ourselves from this calculation. Okay, so especially in the ratio chapter, if you see, The multiple choice type questions, it is extremely easy to discard the wrong answer choices. Okay, now guys, I'm going to give you a very popular GMAT question which uses compounding of ratios. So let me increase the font size of this a little bigger. Okay, so this is the question. All right, please try. All right, guys. It's been 3 minutes since I pasted the question. Very few answers I can see. Only three answers, and three answers more. So I'm getting mixed answers. Somebody says 200, somebody says 400, somebody says 800. It's just that nobody's getting 50. The other three answers everybody's getting. Okay, ठीक है, चलिए देखते हैं इसको. Okay, so let me try it with a crisp method. So there is soap, there is alcohol, and there is water. The ratio of this is given as 2 is to 50 is to 100. Now guys, they could have written same ratio as 1 is to 25 is to 50 also, but they didn't. That was for a reason, you know, that is for a reason. What is the reason? Let us see. So, what do they want? They want to double the ratio of soap to alcohol. Okay, soap to alcohol is this. So if this ratio is doubled, I would like to make this 4 is to 50. Okay, so the ratio of soap to alcohol has been doubled. Okay, and the ratio of soap to water is halved. the ratio of soap to water is halved. So if soap to water ratio is to be halved, either you double the denominator or you half the numerator. Okay, so if I half the numerator, it will be like 1 is 200. So now I have to compound this ratio. So let me write soap as 4, alcohol remains 50, and water remains 400, becomes 400. Okay, what do they say now? They say in the question that altered solution, which is this, let me write this as altered solution, contains 100 cc of alcohol. So alcohol I have 50, if I write it 100, so everything gets doubled. So 800 water and 8 soap. So how many cc of water it contains? It contains 800 cc of water. Okay guys? Okay, please see it again. I am doing the entire question again for you. So soap, alcohol, water. If you have not understood anything, forget it. See it again. I am explaining everything right from the start. So 2 is to 50 is to 100 was the ratio given. So in the first case, they say that the ratio of soap to alcohol, which is 2 is to 50, it is supposed to be doubled. Now a number is doubled in two ways. Either you multiply the numerator by 2 or you half the denominator. So, I do not, for some reason, I do not want to change the value of soap from 2, because this is the entity, soap is the entity which will be used in both the ratios, soap to alcohol and soap to water. So I do not want soap to change from 2. So I am actually going to half the alcohol. In this way, see, it's like x by y is given. Either you multiply 2 into x or you divide y by 2. It's the same thing. So I divided y by 2. I divided 50 by 2, alcohol by 2. So this way the ratio has been doubled. Second thing they want to do is half the ratio of soap to water. Soap and water are these. If this ratio is to be halved, the denominator should be doubled. So I again do not want to change soap, so let it be 2, and water becomes 200. Now it is extremely easy for me to compound these two ratios. So soap remains 2, alcohol becomes 25, and water becomes 200. So this is the thing that I wanted to create, I wanted to do. So 2 is to 25 is to 200. So इस रेशियो में अब वो चाहते हैं कि आप अल्कोहल को जो है 100 कर दीजिए. So कर दीजिए 100, 4 times it is. So this becomes 8 and this becomes 800. Okay, so this way also you get the answer as 800. Right guys? Great. Fine guys, there are quite a number of things in ratios and then proportion that are left. We will see them afresh in in the next class also. Okay, so we'll see you again. Till then, these were the basics of ratio. You can at least try them in doing some questions. So this question is a difficult GMAT question. It is a very, very popular, rather I should say infamous GMAT question. A lot of people do it wrong, and that is why it has become famous. So people do not understand what doubling or ratio is. That is why I told you in the beginning. And then they do something wrong while combining the two ratios. So uh, this merging of two ratios, the compounding is extremely, extremely important. A lot of questions are asked on this. Okay, guys. So that would be all for today. And thank you for being patient and attending the session in good numbers. So take care. I'll see you again with another concept, another MDC. Thank you so very much. Take care. Keep learning. Good night.